Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Thursday. Today is January 14th, and today, as you can see from the board behind me, our goal was going to be to write a summary of an informational article. Now, earlier in this week, we realized some students were struggling with some of the steps that they needed to do to get ready to write a summary. So today, we're actually not going to be writing the summary. Today, we're going to be completing a graphic organizer to help us get ready to write the summary. Okay? So your work today, when we look at the homework, is really just the first bullet. Today, we are going to be completing the main idea and details graphic organizer, which is due tomorrow. It's due Friday. And then on Friday, we will focus on using the graphic organizer to write our summary. And then the summaries are going to be due by Monday. So what are you going to need today for today's lesson? Today, you will need your article that has been completely annotated. So by now, there should be writing all over it. Things should be underlined. Some things should be highlighted. You're going to need your article. Second thing that you're going to need is something to write with. We just need a pen or a pencil, something to write with. And then you're going to need from your ELA folder. Here's my ELA folder. In my ELA folder, I'm going to take out my packet. And we are going to be using this graphic organizer that says main idea in detail. So I'm going to take out this graphic organizer. And now here's my packet. This is what it looks like. I'm going to put this back in my folder. And I'm going to set my folder aside. So now I have my graphic organizer. And I have my article. And I have something to write with. Okay, so let's jump into the work at hand. Let's take a look. I'm going to switch over to my document camera. And here you see the graphic organizer. And here you can see the top, the title says main idea and details. You have one box at the top for the main idea. And then we have 3 boxes that say detail on them. And at the bottom, we have summary. Now, we are not going to worry about using this box. We are not going to write a summary in this box. It is far too small. You guys are going to write the summary tomorrow, actually in a Google document in a Google quiz form. All right, so you are not going to be trying to write a summary in this little box. All we're going to focus on today is the main idea and the 3 details. Now, last week, we learned that there are 3 steps to writing a summary. One thing that we need to do is state the main idea. The second thing we need to do is to write 1 sentence for each transitional sentence or idea category that includes just the most important details. And then the last thing we need to do is include transitional words and phrases. What we're going to focus on today is steps 1 and 2. We're going to work on the main idea and figuring out which details from this article we should use in a summary. Okay, so last week we talked about where do we look in our article for the main idea. 1, we want to account by looking at the title. We want to start by looking at the title and understanding what this article is about. And a lot of people who handed this assignment in early said that the main idea was how Donald Duck and Peanuts saved trick-or-treating. That's the title. That is the topic. The topic is about how they saved trick-or-treating. But that's not the topic sentence, and it's not the main idea. Okay? Yesterday's class, we highlighted the main idea here. Okay? And this is what we highlighted for the main idea. The main idea was that it took the combined efforts of cartoons, comics, and candy manufacturers to resurrect, or bring back from the dead, trick-or-treating after World War II and make it what it is today. This is our topic sentence. This is the sentence that we need to take and put into our own words so that we can make it into the main idea. Now, I've already done this on another graphic organizer, but let me explain about what I kept in my main idea and why I kept it. Something that's really important when we talk about these things like this, the main idea, is when does this happen? When do the cartoons and the comics and the candy manufacturers have to save trick-or-treating? Well, it was after World War II. And we know that in these first two paragraphs, it was all about World War II and sugar rationing. Now, we don't need to include any of those details, but it is important to note, when did the saving of Halloween happen? It happened after World War II. So you'll see in my main idea, I make sure I include that information. Now, what happened after World War II? Cartoons, comics, and candy manufacturers, basically, they had to save Halloween. So when I go to write my main idea, okay, in my graphic organizer, this is what I ended up writing. After World War II, it took Disney, the Peanuts, and candy manufacturers to save Halloween. It is important that you have when this stuff happened after World War II, and it is important that you have all three of these people, Disney, the Peanuts, and the candy manufacturers, and it's important that you have what they did. Now, you could write this any way that you want, all right? But you need to make sure that it's written in a complete sentence and that it's written in a way where I can take this sentence and put it straight into a paragraph where I'm summarizing this article. Okay? Now, if you need to pause me and write this down, you can. Or if you need to pause me and take some time to write your own main idea, you may do that now. Please feel free to pause me at any time. You can have me rewind me, and you can play me back if you miss anything. All right. So make sure that you have your main idea. That's the most important part. Now, once you have your main idea, the rest of the graphic organizer kind of begins to take shape. Because here, in my graphic organizer, I know that I need to have 3 details. Okay, I need to have 3 details in my graphic organizer. Now, what details do I include? This article has got lots of details. Okay, it has details about World War II. It has details, okay, about sugar rationing. It has details about candy companies. It has details about how they launched advertising campaigns and how they put ads in magazines. There are details about the Peanuts and how they ran comic strips and the characters that were in the comic strips and what happened in those comic strips. There are details about Disney and Disney releasing a film and about the details of what was in that movie. Donald Duck and Huey, Dewey, and Louie trying to play tricks on each other at Halloween. And then there's a character called Witch Hazel. And then on the last page, there's details about schools and a charity called UNICEF that raises money for children. So how do I know what details I need to include? It's very simple. If I take my topic sentence or my main idea and I combine it with my title, it tells me what details I need to include. Okay, the title says, How Donald Duck and Peanuts Saved Trick-or-Treating. And by the time I'm done, I wrote here, I should know what they did to save Halloween. These are the details I'm looking for. I want to know specifically, what did the candy companies do to save Halloween? I don't want to know where they ran their ads. I don't want to know what was in the ads. I want to know what they did. And what did they do? They ran Halloween ads. I want to know, what did Donald Duck, or in this case Disney, what did Disney do to save Halloween? I don't need the details about Witch Hazel and what happened in the cartoon. I just need to have the detail that what did Disney do? They ran Halloween cartoons. They made a cartoon. And then same thing here with the Peanuts, which is Charlie Brown, Lucy, Sally, Patty, Linus, that whole Charlie Brown gang. That is the Peanuts. And I want to be able to include in my summary, what did the Peanuts do to save Halloween? I don't need details about what was in the comics. My detail needs to be about the fact that the Peanuts, or Charles Schulz, he's the guy who invented the Peanuts, he ran 3 Halloween-themed comic strips. Okay, so when you're thinking about what details you include, you have to think about, what is this article about? It is about how these things saved trick-or-treating. So in my graphic organizer, I begin with the understanding that I'm going to need a detail about the candy makers or the candy manufacturers. What did they do? I'm going to need a detail about the Peanuts. And I'm going to need a detail about Disney. Now, in my article, to figure out where these details are, I'm going to go right into the article. On the bottom of page 2, we have a paragraph all about the candy companies. And we know that in 1947, when the sugar rationing ended, that the candy companies launched Halloween advertising campaigns. Okay, so they ran ads. That is what they did. So, in my graphic organizer, that is what I write. I put it in my own words. I don't want to be too wordy and include all of the details, just the most important. So the most important details is that in 1947, after the sugar rationing ended, all right, so I include the when. In 1947, after the sugar rationing ended, candy companies ran Halloween advertising campaigns. That is what they did. And that is why I picked that detail. I can make it a little bit bigger there for you guys. Okay, so now I have my first detail. Again, feel free to pause me, write your detail down. You could write it like I did, or you can put it in your own words. What's important is that you write down what the candy makers did and when did they do it. Okay, they did it in 1947 after the sugar rationing ended, and they ran ads. Now, my second detail should be about the Peanuts. In my article, if I flip ahead to page 3, I have a paragraph all about the Peanuts and what the Peanuts did and when they did it. From the article, I know that the Peanuts, the comic strip, ran 3 Halloween-themed strips from October to 29th to October 31st in 1951. All right? And so now, in my graphic organizer, my detail would read like this. I said Charles Schultz. Now, I used Charles Schultz's name because the article uses Charles Schultz. Uses his name, Charles Schultz. And he's the guy who draws the Peanuts comics. All right, so I used his name. Charles Schultz made 3 Halloween-themed comic strips in 1951 that helped make Halloween popular. And that last bit, that came here. The comic strips helped spread the popularity of Halloween. So that is what these comic strips did. That's how they helped to save it. They made it more popular. Okay, so that becomes my second detail here about the Peanuts. And my third detail, we know, is going to be about Disney and what Disney did in order to save Halloween. In the article, the paragraph right after the Peanuts, right here, is all about Disney. And what Disney did, we have Disney here, they released an 8-minute short film that showed youngsters how to trick or treat. And so here you can see my last detail. Disney released a cartoon with Donald Duck that showed kids exactly how to trick or treat. So when I'm done with my graphic organizer, I have 3 details. One detail is about the candy makers and what they did to save Halloween. Another is about the Peanuts and what they did to save Halloween. And another is about Disney and what they did to save Halloween. The details that you include have to be the ones about what these things did to save Halloween. It would do me no good if in this last detail you wrote about the cartoon and just wrote about what happens in the cartoon. Because again, that's not what saved Halloween. What saved Halloween is the fact that they did release a cartoon. Okay? So when you're done, you should have completed the main idea and your 3 details. You do not need to worry about the bottom, the summary part. This is no way big enough to write a summary because we know a summary needs to include the main idea and the 3 details. And so there's no way we're going to be able to fit a summary in there. So now, how do you guys submit your work? There's 2 ways that you can submit this work to me. Okay. One is by going to our Google Classroom. And here you see it behind me, going to the Classworks tab. All right, and then scrolling down. This is all under Unit 2 assignments. You can see behind me, I have already posted lots of assignments up here, all the way up until February 4th. Now, you guys can't see those assignments. Those ones are not up there for you yet. You guys, the first assignment that you should see at the top is this one, where it says Writing a Summary. Okay? This is the assignment that you're not going to do today. We're going to do this one tomorrow. All right. There are already 8 people that turned it in, and there's 8 people that turned it in incorrectly and early. There's no way that they could have written their summaries yet. We did not do that yet. All right. Don't worry about the due dates. Okay. I had to adjust the due dates because we were struggling a little bit earlier in the week. The assignment that we're handing in is the second one down. Organizing ideas about an informational article. That's what we did today. We did a graphic organizer. We organized our ideas. So I click on this assignment, and here you can see the directions, and here you can see there are the 4 pages of your article. All right, I've included them so you guys can see digital copies if you had lost yours. But then right here you see main idea and details graphic organizer. One way that you can do this assignment is to do it digitally. You can come over here, and this is the graphic organizer that we just did. And you can see at the bottom, it again tells you you do not need to do this section. You will write your summary in a different assignment. But here, there are text boxes. And if I wanted to write down my detail here, I could write down my detail. So I'd have to space through that, and I could type in my detail here. This one was about the candy makers, and then I could continue and I could type it in, okay? And I would type in my detail here. And I could do that for each detail. I could type it in here, I could type in my main idea, and then I could submit my work this way, okay? And this would be submitting your work digitally. So that is one way that you can submit your work. The other way is through the paper copy. You've already got this done on paper if you did this with me in class. And just like we've been doing with our notebook pages, you can simply, under this same assignment, you can take a picture of your work and upload a picture of your completed graphic organizer. So there's 2 ways. You can either submit it digitally, or you can submit it with a picture of your actual paper copy of your work. Okay? And you're going to hang on to these because tomorrow you're going to use it to write your summary. And your summary is going to count as a quiz grade. All the work we've been doing this week, they count as classwork grades to show me that you're doing your work. But tomorrow, your actual summary is going to count as a quiz grade towards your marking 2 average. Okay? So make sure that you guys are doing your best. Make sure that you're actually watching the videos and joining us for the live stream classes so you can really know the directions and so you know how to do each of the assignments. So you guys have a great Thursday afternoon. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.